Hello everyone, and welcome to Blockbuster Magic, the channel where we explore the magic of movies and the stars who make them. I'm your host, and today we're going to talk about one of the most charismatic and versatile actors in Hollywood, Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. has had a remarkable career, from his early roles in the 80s as a member of the Brat Pack, to his Oscar-nominated performance as Charlie Chaplin, to his comeback as Iron Man and Sherlock Holmes. He has shown his range and talent in many genres, from comedy to drama to action to sci-fi. He has also overcome many personal challenges and struggles with addiction, making his success even more inspiring. But what are his best movies? How do we rank them? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. Avengers Endgame. This is the culmination of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the final chapter of the Infinity Saga. Robert Downey Jr. plays Tony Stark as Iron Man for the last time, as he leads the remaining heroes in a desperate attempt to undo the damage caused by Thanos, the Mad Titan who wiped out half of all life in the universe. Downey Jr. delivers a powerful and emotional performance as a man who sacrifices everything for the greater good. Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. We start our list with the sequel to the 2009 hit Sherlock Holmes, directed by Guy Ritchie and starring Robert Downey Jr. as the legendary detective and Jude Law as his loyal friend Dr. Watson. In this movie, Holmes and Watson face their greatest enemy, Professor Moriarty, played by Jared Harris. The movie is a thrilling adventure that takes us from London to Paris to Switzerland, with plenty of action, humor, and mystery. Downey Jr. delivers a witty and eccentric performance as Holmes, showing his intelligence, courage, and vulnerability. He also has great chemistry with Law, Harris, and Noomi Rapace as a gypsy fortune teller. Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows is a fun and entertaining movie that showcases Downey Jr.'s charm and charisma. Good night and good luck. This is a historical drama that depicts the confrontation between journalist Edward R. Murrow and Senator Joseph McCarthy during the Cold War era. Robert Downey Jr. plays Joe Wershba, one of Murrow's colleagues at CBS News, who is secretly married to another reporter, Shirley Wershba, played by Patricia Clarkson. Downey Jr. gives a subtle and realistic performance as a man who risks his career and his marriage for the sake of truth and justice. Sherlock Holmes. We continue our list with the first movie in the Sherlock Holmes franchise, directed by Guy Ritchie and starring Robert Downey Jr. as the iconic sleuth and Jude Law as his faithful companion Dr. Watson. In this movie, Holmes and Watson have to stop a sinister plot by Lord Blackwood, played by Mark Strong, who claims to have supernatural powers and wants to take over England. The movie is a stylish and modern take on the classic character created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, with a lot of humor, action, and mystery. Downey Jr. brings a fresh and original interpretation of Holmes, making him more eccentric, humorous, and physical than previous versions. He also has great chemistry with Law, Rachel McAdams as Irene Adler, and Eddie Marsan as Inspector Lestrade. Sherlock Holmes is a fun and exciting movie that reinvents Downey Jr.'s career as an action star. Wonder Boys. We have a comedy drama based on the novel by Michael Chabon. Wonder Boys is directed by Curtis Hanson and stars Michael Douglas as Grady Tripp, a college professor and novelist who is struggling with his personal life and his unfinished manuscript. He is joined by his editor Terry Crabtree, played by Robert Downey Jr., who comes to visit him during a chaotic weekend that involves a dead dog, a stolen car, a transvestite lover, a troubled student, and a stolen jacket that belonged to Marilyn Monroe. Downey Jr. gives a hilarious and quirky performance as Crabtree, who is desperate for Grady's book but also attracted to his student James Lear, played by Tobey Maguire. He also shows his dramatic side as he deals with his insecurities and his feelings for Grady. Wonder Boys is a witty and charming movie that features Downey Jr.'s comedic timing and charisma. Chaplin. We're getting closer to the top of our list, and we have the movie that earned Downey Jr. his first Oscar nomination for Best Actor. Chaplin, a biographical drama based on the life of Charlie Chaplin, one of the most influential and iconic figures in cinema history. The movie is directed by Richard Attenborough and stars Robert Downey Jr. as Chaplin. From his humble beginnings in London, to his rise to fame in Hollywood, to his fall from grace due to political and personal scandals, the movie is a fascinating and touching portrait of a complex and talented man who changed the world with his art. Downey Jr. gives an amazing and transformative performance as Chaplin, capturing his physicality, his humor, his emotions, and his spirit. He also has great chemistry with Geraldine Chaplin as his mother Hannah Chaplin, Anthony Hopkins as his biographer George Hayden, and Kevin Kline as his friend Brian Douglas Fairbanks. Chaplin is an impressive and moving movie that showcases Downey Jr.'s acting skills and range. SpiderMan Homecoming. This is the second reboot of the Spider-Man franchise, but this time is integrated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Robert Downey Jr. plays Tony Stark as Iron Man again, but this time he is more of a mentor and a father figure to Peter Parker as Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland. Downey Jr. provides guidance and humor to the young hero, as well as some cool gadgets and suits. Shortcuts. This is an ensemble drama that interweaves several stories of different characters living in Los Angeles over a few days. Robert Downey Jr. plays Bill Bush, a makeup artist who is married to Honey Bush, played by Lily Taylor. They are a young couple who are struggling with their finances and their relationship. Downey Jr. shows his comedic and dramatic skills as a man who tries to cope with his problems through humor and escapism. Zodiac. We have reached the top 3 of our list, and we have a crime thriller based on the true story of the Zodiac Killer, one of the most notorious and elusive serial killers in American history. Zodiac is directed by David Fincher and stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Robert Graysmith, a cartoonist who becomes obsessed with solving the case. Mark Ruffalo as David Toschi, a detective who leads the investigation. Robert Downey Jr. as Paul Avery, a journalist who covers the story, and John Carroll Lynch as Arthur Leigh Allen, a prime suspect. The movie is a gripping and meticulous account of the events that spanned over 2 decades, from 1969 to 1991. The movie explores the impact of the case on the lives of those who were involved or affected by it. Downey Jr. gives a captivating and charismatic performance as Avery, who becomes famous for his articles on the Zodiac, but also suffers from paranoia, addiction, and isolation. He also has great chemistry with Gyllenhaal, Ruffalo, and Lynch. Zodiac is a compelling and haunting movie that features Downey Jr.'s dramatic talent and intensity. Iron Man. We have reached the halfway point of our list, and we have the movie that started it all. Iron Man, the first movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, directed by Jon Favreau and starring Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, a billionaire genius who builds a suit of armor to escape from terrorists and becomes a superhero. The movie is a thrilling and entertaining origin story that introduces us to one of the most iconic and beloved characters in pop culture. Downey Jr. is perfect as Tony Stark, bringing his charisma, humor, intelligence, and vulnerability to the role. He also has great chemistry with Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, Terrence Howard as James Rhodes, and Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane. Iron Man is a fun and exciting movie that showcases Downey Jr.'s star power and talent. So these are my top 10 Robert Downey Jr. movies.